All right, guys, welcome to the channel. Let's jump right into the Bradley Beal news. So, we got word yesterday via Shams and Woj that the Washington and Bradley Beal will be working together to find a trade. For the three-time All-Star, and I didn't realize he was a three-time All-Star. Actually, it's more than I thought. If they select to reset the roster, which new Wizards GM Michael Winger has come in from the Clippers, and a lot of people expect him to rebuild this roster. There's reason for that. We've even got a report from the Washington Post from the other day, Candace Buckner. Biggest takeaway from in the press time that they had with him was it'll be a slow and methodical rebuild, not a slash and burn. A quote from him: "I just fundamentally don't believe in taking a flamethrower to things until you know exactly what you're torching." So I think we can kind of assume, without completely confirming it, that he's going to rebuild the roster. Most people would unanimously say that this Wizards roster needs to be rebuilt. They've kind of been one of the funnier teams of the past few years, and they're just reluctant to build or rebuild, or reluctant to take a step back to maybe take a few more steps forward down the line. They continue to just wade in those mediocre waters where they're competing for the play-in, but not even really the play-in. They're not even in the top 10 seeds last year. So, before Tommy Shepard was let go this offseason and Winger was brought in, the talk was that they were going to re-sign this core. They were going to bring Kristaps Porzingis back, maybe even him opt out of his player option for 30-something million, and then them re-sign him to a more long-term deal, and hopefully to re-sign Kyle Kuzma, which is a weird one because there was a lot of trade rumors around Kuzma. In the Wizards, the consistent reports we got were that the Wizards were reluctant to deal him, and that they wanted him to be a centerpiece, and they were going to re-sign him. And now a new GM is brought in. I would definitely expect Kuzma to turn down that $13 million player option and go to see what he can get on the open market. I mean, maybe he does stay with the Wizards. Maybe they do decide to retain him, because that probably would be in their best interest to actually use that, the cap hold that they have on him, retain him, not have to go out there in free agency and find somebody. And then Kuzma is a youngish player. He'll be tradable down the line, even in this first year, maybe. And they can pay him a little bit more than most teams out there. So I still would. There's a high chance that Kuzma remains there, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they're going to go through a rebuild. I think Bill is the logical first player to move. Just this whole situation with his contract is what makes it very, very, very complicated. So where do we go from there? So as soon as this report from Shams comes out, and Joshua Robbins, as soon as it comes out, we get a lot of rumors or a lot of reports, right? And one of those main ones being that the Heat are definitely going to be interested. We got a report from Brett Katz that Miami Heat are above the rest of the league for Bradley Beal's preferred landing spot. He's had an eye on him for years. We also got, a quote from Brian Windhorst that the Heat will potentially landing Beal or Lillard. They're in the thick of it, and I expect them to emerge from this summer having an upgraded to their roster in a meaningful way at the end of it. So we got a lot of buzz around the Heat. And then today, on Thursday, I don't know when this is going to come out, but on Thursday, June 15th, we got a report that the Kings were actually interested. Here you can see the Shams tweet. Another team that is interested in Beal will be the Kings. I believe Beal would consider Sacramento given his no trade clause, which, first off, right there, if that report is true, if Beal is considering Sacramento, great move by Sacramento, or props to Sacramento for what they did in the last year and really rebuilding the image of that organization to where one of these guys a guy with a no trade clause would actually prefer going there. So, that's cool to see for Sacramento fans. But, and as one of the guys I like to listen to here, Raheem Palmer from The Ringer, comments, why, what's he missing, right? Why would the Kings want to do Bradley Beal? They had the best offense in the NBA last year. They're bringing in a good shooting guard, but that's not really an issue. That wasn't really like a point of contention with their roster this year. That's not something that they, you would have taken away, is that, we need to work on the 2-guard spot. We need to work on a secondary ball handler or something like that. So that's not really what I would have thought. And we also got some fake trades out there. I think Zach Lowe was proposing one. I'll try to put it up on the screen, but we had, I think it was Kevin Herter, Rashawn Holmes, Malik Monk, and he propose they probably would have to add a pick in there maybe to get it back from Washington, to get him from Washington. And I just don't know at that point if you're really helping your team at all, a team that already had a very, very good offense, and you're giving up, at least two of those core guys that were involved in that last year for Bradley Beal, who's going to come in, but he's had injury issues. He's a bloated contract. I think there's a lot of risk there with that, and kind of rocking the boat of what you had last year, and also too, you're strapping yourself in for 4 years of for the 4 remaining years of that $251 million contract. So don't really know that that's kind of the direction that I would want the Kings to go in. So we'll see. Maybe there is something that somebody else sees out there. Maybe there's something that the Kings see that we don't. Or maybe there's an avenue for them to get creative and not have to give up some of those core guys. But in general, Beal looks like right now, the Heat and the Bucks, who have also been rumored as a destination, are the top teams there. And we also heard some chatter around what the Bucks would have to do. And there's really, I was listening to Jake Fisher and Dan Devine earlier on the Yahoo Sports podcast. You can see it right here. I was listening to that earlier. They were talking about it, and they really came down to it that you couldn't get, the Bucks could not get Beal unless Middleton or Holiday was included in that. So Middleton would have to opt out of his player option, I believe, and re-sign a deal, or maybe opt in. They could still trade him, and most likely the Wizards want him to opt, or would want to, have him on a longer term deal. And then you could throw a couple. I think they have 1 or 2 picks available. I just don't really see Milwaukee, first off, wanting to give up a guy like Holiday or Middleton. And I don't know that Beal is that much of an upgrade. I know Middleton had his injury issues last year, but other than that, he's been a pretty good player for them. So I definitely wouldn't want to give up Drew Holiday for Beal. And at that point, like what are you really? I don't know that you're. If I was Milwaukee, I would look at other angles, other avenues to get better. Potentially like a buy low. I guess you could technically say Bradley Beal's a buy low right now, but I would say they would want to buy low on somebody else, maybe a younger player on a more manageable contract that's, underperformed or just not in the right situation. That's what I would look at for the Bucks. So from Washington's position, Wizards fans, let me know what you think, but what is this, what is your thoughts on this new GM's kind of course of action here? Do you think this is going to be something that's going to improve your team in the long term? Do you think Beal, you should hold on to Beal and let him be kind of like this franchise cornerstone that you just continue to replace the pieces around him, but he's a great locker room guy, and him and the owner have a great relationship. He loves being in Washington. He's been loyal. Is that something that you think you could build a new locker room around? Could that be what you want to focus on here? Or do you think getting rid of him now, salvaging some value, maybe getting a pick or 2 first-round picks in the future, maybe a couple of young guys or a couple of other pieces that can be traded later on, and start to work the whole Tetris board of being a GM? Do you think that's the way to do it? I have my opinions. I think you do get rid of Beal. I think you do salvage what you can. I think the no trade clause is not going away, and it's not going to be that any easier to deal him in the future as he's getting older. So I would actually look to deal him now. Try to get what you can from. The situation. The thing is, he is happy in DC. He doesn't want to. If they want to rebuild, he doesn't want to leave. But it's not like he's asking out, right? It's not like a Kevin Durant situation last year, or a James Harden situation or something like that, Kyrie situation. So I don't know, like people keep saying that, you're going to be surprised by how little the package is, what Wintour said for many of the teams, because they're not going to give up that much. But I would really stand firm if I was the Wizards. I would really force Miami to come to the table, whether that's extra picks down the line and less players or less, talent, or maybe that's, prying away some piece that they really don't want to give up. So we'll see what they can do there. But I would definitely I would definitely hold whatever team is coming to the table. I would definitely, let them know that you're comfortable walking away from this and keeping Bradley Beal. So, because the teams that are rumored, they really need him more than Washington does. So I think they're going to be motivated to get a deal done, even if they have to pay a little bit more than they wanted to. So, but like I said, let me know what you think in the comments, how the Wizards should take this and what their next season is going to look like for them. So I'm excited to make a few more of these videos, a few other things I want to get into, the Zion stuff, the Grizzlies stuff, kind of the, what their off seasons are going to look like once we know the Ja news. Yeah, so excited to make some more of this, and I'm thinking about doing some daily breaking news videos or every couple of days or something like that. So let me know what you think about that, if that would be something that you'd be interested in seeing. I know there's other channels that do it, but I just enjoy making this even if nobody watches it. So, but anyway, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe if possible. Would love to get some action going in the comments. But other than that, we'll see you next time for No Easy Buckets. Thanks. Peace.